I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And as many of you know, being intelligent means staying healthy. It means seeking out ways to be healthy, wealthy, and strong. And today we're going to really talk about Black health. And we're going to talk about, we're going to have the real Black Lives Matter conversation. How about that? Some call it Black Life Matters, Black Life Matters. So let's use that hashtag so it doesn't get confused with the political stuff. So everybody in the chat, type Black Life Matters in the chat, hashtag Black Life Matters, because we're going to talk about Black life and the things that are actually killing Black people and the things that we can do to minimize that. And one of the people who is right on top of this game, I mean, really on top of it, is my brother, Nathaniel Jordan, aka the Minister of Wellness. And first of all, I'd like to ask my brother, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Doc. It's always a pleasure to be on the air with you.
Brother, it's great to have you. It's great to have you. And let me just tell you all this. We had the brother and I were talking before this got started. We were talking about business. And a lot of you have businesses. How many business owners we have in the building? If you're a business owner, type Black owned business, hashtag Black owned business in the chat if you are a Black business owner. And let me just start with something that is not quite in the area of health, but since Nathaniel and I were talking about it before this conversation, I figured I would just jump right into it. So we were talking about managing your business, handling your business. When you get started, a lot of you are experts at a lot of things. A lot of you are good at what you do. A lot of you have a desire to build family wealth. A lot of you are building corporations right now. The big thing you got to watch out for are a lot, among other things, is three things actually: the I, the aura, and the S. Like they said in the movie Set It Off. That's what the guy said. He said three things I don't mess with. It's the I, the aura, and the S. He didn't say R. He said aura. And so with that said, one of the things I will say. First of all, in terms of practical resources in the Black Business School, we have a program, Black Money 103. You can go to blackmoney103.com. That's our entrepreneurship program in the Black Business School. Attorney Nicole Compton is an expert at all the legalities of structuring your business the right way. Also, she knows a lot about taxes and things like that. And then to go more specifically, when you're talking about things like taxes or just keeping up with your business finances, keeping up with your books and all that stuff, I'm a big believer that you shouldn't try to do it all by yourself. I would say to you that delegation is absolutely critical, especially if you have a business that's doing a decent number of transactions, because there's a difference between working on the business and working in the business. You as the CEO, because you know what you do, you are great at your gift. That is working in the business. That is to me what you should be doing. Working on the business in terms of just managing the finances and the bookkeeping and all that. Personally, I delegate that to other people. I try to give that two things I really learned the value of just as I was going through my own journey with this. I mean, there's a difference between knowing things in theory and knowing them in practice. And then also there's a difference between being a white business owner and a Black business owner, because as a white business owner, you have a few more hurdles to jump through. I learned the value of paying accountants and paying lawyers. Lawyers and accountants are really important in terms of helping you have the right structure for the company. The accountants help you keep your books in order. They keep up with all the transactions. I meet with my accountants every week, sometimes a couple times a week. I have more than one accountant just to keep up with everything that's going on financially. So I would encourage everybody out there, try not to make it a do-it-yourself type operation, because what's going to happen is, number one, you're probably going to do it wrong because you're not an accountant, right? If you're not an accountant, everybody who's not an accountant, say me. Everybody in the room, raise your hand if you're not an accountant. And so you're not an accountant. Accountants are really good at what they do, like a really good, solid accountant. Get one with good references and all that stuff. These are CPAs. These are people that had to study a long time to do what they do. So don't feel like you can do all that by yourself. It's hard to do. Second of all, it's time consuming as all get out. It'll have you'll be in there spending all your time keeping up with the books and the transactions, but then there won't be no transactions because you're not out hustling and making the money. So the way I would encourage you to approach business is, look, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna raise money for the company. I'm gonna hire the right people. My team's gonna go out here and we're gonna offer the service, and then we're gonna have the people in the back office that are gonna handle. We're gonna bring home the bacon. They're gonna cook it up. You see what I mean? So I would encourage you to find good people you can delegate to. The ability to delegate, we actually have an acronym we use in our children's program. It's called blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. If you want to find it, you can go to boycewatkins.com. But in our program, we talk about building sturdy children. Sturdy is spelled STERDY. Sturdy stands for systems, technology, entrepreneurship, relationships, and delegation. The Y doesn't stand for anything. It just is there for good measure. But the delegation piece is what something I had to learn, because a lot of us, remember, we're former slaves, so we know how to work hard. But the thing is, sometimes you got to pass the ball to the other players on the team. Okay. So I know that I went on a little bit about this, but this was a really important point I wanted to make as we get started. And I hope that that's helpful to somebody out there. So again, feel free to go to blackmoney103.com to check out our entrepreneurship program. All right. I've taken 5 minutes and 28 seconds of talking. Now it's time for me to shut up and hand the ball to Nathaniel Jordan, the Minister of Wellness, who is going to help us understand what we're doing wrong when it comes to our food. Now, let's start with the jump. Let me ask you the first question that came to mind with me today. I saw this image of a couple of really obese pastors that I'm not going to say their names, but I saw a couple of really pretty chunky pastors who were talking about, how everybody needs to go get that COVID jab, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I thought that was really ironic that they weren't talking about how to actually have healthy immune systems. They weren't talking about things that have been proven to actually fight against viruses, like exercise. They weren't talking about the things that we can do to actually stay healthy, eating right, stuff like that. Every Sunday we show up, we get the greasy macaroni and cheese, we get the fried chicken and all that, and we get obese. And then somebody says, "Oh, but it's all okay if you pray over your food and you get the jab." Can you kind of speak to some of that? You've been very outspoken about that.
Yes, I refer to it as slave theology. It's slave theology that we were taught in the Black church, that as long as we bless our food in Jesus' name, and that as new covenant, what the modern day, what the slave theology Christian has been taught is that their faith in Jesus allows them to just eat what they want to eat without any regards to their health. And we see in the real world that it doesn't work, because if you eat junk, you will become junk. If you eat garbage food, you will become garbage. So it's a slave theology, because it's a theology that's foreign to the scriptures, and it's a theology that has slaughtered millions of our people and continues to slaughter millions of our people. It destroyed my father's health. My father would have been 73 years old. May he rest in peace. Pastor Eddie Jordan Jr., he would have been 73 years old, December 9th. And we all know that this Thursday is Thanksgiving, or what I call Thanksgiving. And on every Thanksgiving, my father, he was the family pastor. So we would all gather around over our turkey that was raised with all these hormones and steroids and eating a bunch of garbage. We would the ham, the dressing that's made with white flour and loaded with toxic chemicals, the sugary cranberry sauce, the macaroni and cheese with the pus-filled dairy. I mean, we would all bow down, and he would pray that, will God bless this food to be nutritious to the body. Well, it didn't hit the ceiling. The prayers didn't hit the ceiling, because my dad died at age 66 after his 9th stroke. His brother right beneath him died at age 63 of a massive heart attack. The next brother in line died at age 57 from diabetes. Then his youngest brother passed away after multiple strokes. Then my grandfather died of Alzheimer's disease, which is directly linked to what we eat also. And then grandma, she had multiple diseases. So there's no one left. My father's entire immediate family decimated, as are many of the families of our people that's listening. And we can owe that in large part to the slave theology teachings of the Black church. We cannot, as much as we might want to, it doesn't matter if you're, not religious or so forth, the influence of the Black church and the Black preacher is very real. And that's why me, as the minister of wellness, I don't shy away, Doc, from using that term for myself as a Black preacher, no matter how much scrutiny the church is under. I'm proud to call myself a Black preacher, because I know that the Black preacher has always been an important part of the history of our people. Nat Turner, Marcus Garvey, Denmark Vesey, Malcolm X, currently Minister Louis Farrakhan, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. These were all preachers. So we can't escape that. But my job is to restore the original teachings of our people, which is eating a nutrient dense, plant rich eating style.
Mm. All right. Well, everybody, was speaking with Nathaniel Jordan, aka the Minister of Wellness, and we are speaking about the things that are really killing Black people. We're talking about really confronting our health. Thanksgiving's coming up. He calls it thanks killing, and I'm gonna tell you what. When I hear that story from you, brother, and I can relate to it. You know, you and I really connected over the experience of our fathers and what we kind of watch. My biological father is dead. He died in his 60s, and my father that raised me has had some major health challenges. And so, one of the things that we noticed is that there's just it's kind of hard to approach something like this because it runs in the face of so many traditions that we have. It's a painful thing to talk about. Number one, you know, I mean, when I just heard your story, I just kind of felt a lot of pain hearing about, you know, the entire bloodline going down over something that some would say is preventable. But then also there's the challenge of you going into Thanksgiving, everybody wants to feel good, and then you're saying no, it really is Thanksgiving. How do you you know, what are the ways that people can internalize the message without being made to feel bad about, you know, about what's coming up over this weekend? You know, for a lot of people, Thanksgiving means a lot for them. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, you know, of course, what I believe is that if we will return to knowing who we are as a people, then we have plenty of days that we could celebrate that wouldn't be directly linked to the death and destruction of our people. And there's a tremendous amount of Native American heritage in all of us, and many of the Native Americans are indistinguishable between how we look. And so there's plenty of other days if that's what I would recommend for people. Me, myself, more on the studying the African Hebraic roots of our people. Then, of course, we have our other people choose down other paths of a more traditional African heritage with the holidays. That's why we created Kwanzaa and so forth. However, what I want to say is that my wife, Dr. Chef Felicia Ann Jordan, who works side by side with me in the ministry, she's a chef, and she's a great chef, and she's cooking up a feast right now, Doc. I'm talking about you can. Here's the thing, Doc. There used to be a time where before the rise of processed food, you can make all of the desserts healthy. You don't have to use white sugar. So, Doc, we're going to have apple pie. We're going to have sweet potato pie. We're going to have dressing. We're going to have cranberry sauce. We're going to have our greens. We're going to have all of those things, but it's going to be made with whole ingredients, healthy ingredients. And we do offer recipes in our book. We are doing a holiday special for coaching, where we'll give you meal planning recipes. So that's the point, is that besides the political point that I examined, that the history of Thanksgiving, the reason why I call it Thanksgiving, because the history of it, I mean, white man came over here and just slaughtered our people by the millions, and then decided it was, thanks to them. But I'm pretty sure the Native Americans, our people, weren't so thankful about what happened to them. But outside of that, yes, you're right, that it's only a few times during the year that we're allowed to be off and gather together as a family. So what do you do? And what I'm saying is that you don't have to destroy your health. And there used to be a time we understood that. That's why our grandparents and great grandparents lived to be in their 90s, even though they weren't eating perfectly, but they were eating real food. If we could at least take the step in the direction of eating real food, that we would be a whole lot better than where we are now. Of course, like such as my mother was raised in Mississippi in the 50s. Now, did she not ever eat meat as I advocate now? No, she didn't. But guess what, Doc? They raised the chickens. They knew everything the chicken ate. It wasn't no big, giant, fat chicken where the wing is as big as your head. It was a little small chicken, and then they would have to defeather it. They had to kill it themselves, defeather it, and cook it. So it was much different. At least it was real meat. And that alone makes a difference. So that's why everybody needs to follow me. If you follow the ministry, we give recipes, we have meal plans in the book, and we'll give you the coaching that you need, so that you don't have to feel like you have to eat yourself to death. Brother, this is the deadliest time of the year for Black people, and I don't want that to happen. There is something called holiday heart. Holiday heart means that you're living your whole life on edge, playing Russian roulette with your life, and then during the holiday season, or what I also call the season of gluttony, it can be that one too many bites, and it'll send you right into the emergency room. It is a known fact that heart attack deaths and strokes are at their highest on Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. Those are the 3 deadliest days of the whole year. The 3 days when the most prayers are sent up by the preachers. 3 days when the preachers send up their most prayers to God for blessing over the food, or the 3 deadliest days of the year. And everybody prays on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's.
That's heavy. I don't know. If y'all heard what this brother just said, type the word heavy in the chat, because this brother got me over here Googling. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What? But it makes sense. It's like my wife is a relationship therapist, and she talks about things like how things like domestic violence tend to rise, during the holidays, and suicides is a lot of that stuff. And actually, Thanksgiving is one of the most dangerous. It is the most dangerous holiday. And the number one reason Thanksgiving is the most dangerous holiday is because of car accidents, because people are in the car, or they get drunk and they start driving. Number 2 is heart attacks. An unusually heavy meal can increase the risk of heart attack about 4 times in the 2 hours after eating. That's according to a study presented at the American Heart Association Scientific Sessions 2000. Eating a heavy meal may act as a trigger for a heart attack in much the same way as physical exertion can. Let's see here, like shoveling snow. The higher risk of heart attacks that are directly related to Thanksgiving are in part due to the types of food we eat on this holiday. Increased food, salt, and alcohol consumption can all have adverse effects. Also, people on heart medication may forget their pills if they're traveling. So the advice is don't overdo it. If you have a heart condition, make sure you consume everything in moderation. Do not overexert yourself, and make sure you carry all relevant medications with you. So there we go. So we just saved somebody's life up in here. I'm telling you, so Nathaniel Jordan, aka the Minister of Wellness, which everybody should follow this brother, the ministerofwellness.com. Look him up on Instagram. You got to follow him. This brother is very smart. He knows what he's talking about. He's a great guy to work with, and I have a lot of respect for you, man. A tremendous amount of respect. And also, just so everybody knows, on January 8th, we are doing a special event where he is the featured speaker. He will engage with you and talk to you about all the things that can keep you healthy and strong, help you deal with this pandemic. Anything that you want to know, anything you want help with, it's blackhealthempower.com. You can go sign up at blackhealthempower.com. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, everybody, right now. All right, so let's dig into this then. So let's talk about the pandemic a little bit, and I'm gonna try not to use that V word that rhymes with Maxine, because we know that's they love to chase people around on the internet, accusing them of misinformation when they say something that's different from mainstream media. I've noticed that's changed. I'd be curious to know if you've noticed. It seems like the environment has shifted a little bit, though, even though there's still the stigma of going against the Dr. Fauci's and everybody else. The stigma doesn't seem to be as strong as it used to be, because it's turning out that they were wrong about a lot of things. What were in your mind, just top of brain, what were some of the things that they were saying maybe at the beginning of the pandemic that we're now finding to be true? Yourself, brothers like yourself and Brother Rizza Islam, who are both invited and always welcome to the space. Like, if y'all go down, I'm going down with you. But a lot of the things y'all were saying in the beginning have been proven to be correct. Can you kind of speak on some of how that's evolved as the pandemic, as we learn more about the pandemic?
Yeah, the fact that that immunity can come from a needle versus this whole myth, this idea, the religion of the medical decision. That's the code language that I'm using. It's an actual religion. It's a faith-based religion, just as much as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Is this faith that no matter how this faith that, first of all, the Most High didn't create us correctly. So therefore, scientists need to come in and they need to develop this concoction of whatever, and they need to stick it in you so that you can be healthy and be protected against disease. The idea is a hoax. And so what we've seen is what we've seen throughout is long bloody history, that it doesn't work because the immune system is extremely complicated. And we can't even understand the human body is the most complex organism in the world. We can't even stop tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes. So if we can't stop tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes, how dare we question the one who creates hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes? I believe we probably should listen to what he has to say concerning how to be healthy and how to strengthen the immune system. And that comes from how we eat and how we live. And our people should know this because before the first of their kind ever even developed the first medical decision, we were living long, healthy lives. And then there's still certain parts of the world where we live very long, healthy lives. And there is no hospitals, there's no needles, and there's no drugs. So how do you explain that? Where you have people in communities around the world without high blood pressure, diabetes, or anything, and they don't have regular doctor checkups or anything. So there's a scripture written, Sirach 38:4. This is a scripture written 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. And it says that the Most High created medicines from the earth. He who is wise will not abhor them. What are they finding out now? That natural immunity defeats the immunity that they're trying to acquire. So what I said 3 years ago, that the time would come where they will have 1,000 of these things, meaning that every week you'll have to roll up your arm and to get injected just to be a part of society. And that's what we're seeing now, where now Dr. Fauci he recently admitted that, yes, it's not doing what we thought it would do. So now you need to get your booster. But now we have certain nations like Israel and France where they're on their third, fourth, fifth booster. So my warning is to anybody, if you dare to believe, you're sadly mistaken if you think, because here's what most people thought, Doc. They thought that, okay, let me get this out of the way. Let me go ahead and take it so these people can leave me alone. I can travel, have my freedom. No, that's not how Big Pharma works. No, they're going to rob you of every penny you have, and they're going to kill, steal, and destroy your life. They are never satisfied. So no, you take one, you got to take 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here's the irony of it. You could take 10 of them and get injured by the 10th one. And then they come out with the 11th one. And if you don't take it because you say, listen, come on, I took 10 of them. I just got injured. Come on, can you give me a break? No, they won't give you a break. They'll cast you aside like a leper. And I've done studies on, I did a study on a retired brain surgeon. This woman dedicated 35 years of her life to the European medical establishment. But because she was injured by this and is speaking out on her injury, she's been treated like a leper by her own constituents.
Well, I'll tell you, brother, that is disturbing. And I think anybody that understands how capitalism works, they understand that capitalism is a greedy beast, and Big Pharma is as capitalist as they come. Yeah. So when you mix the toxicity of excessive capitalist greed with something as important as human health, you're going to get these kinds of outcomes. Big Pharma can't make enough money to satisfy its investors by giving you one shot at one time. There's no money in the cure. Right. There's only money in maintaining it and giving. Some of the biggest businesses out here are subscription-based services like Netflix and software as a service. That's a terminology as well. And it all comes down to recurring revenue. Yes. They need a recurring business model, a recurring revenue model. And to your point, you're right. You get that first shot. I mean, you're in. And it, it reminds me of, man, it makes me think about how the Democratic Party will come around, make a bunch of promises, break all the promises, right? But they'll promise you whatever to get you to come vote. Or sometimes maybe they don't promise you nothing. They just pressure you into voting. Right. And then they'll go into office, do nothing for Black people. And then sometimes they'll come back and say, okay, yeah, we know that we messed this up and we know we didn't do nothing for y'all. but you got to vote us back in so we can go fix the stuff we messed up in the first place, right? So that makes me think about these shots, right? You get the first shot, okay, just get this shot, just let me, stay, like back in the days, let me put the tip in, right? So they put the tip in your body, and then later on, you're like, wait a minute, okay, we're done now, right? And they're like, no, actually, it didn't do what we thought it was going to do.
Right.
So now you really got to get the second shot.
Right.
A third analogy is you and I talked about this, like a dope dealer does that, right? The heroin dealer. If you want to sell heroin, you might say something like, "Oh, you got problems, you're not doing well. Right. Well, here, just take this. It'll make all your problems go away." So your problems go away for about an hour or two, and then they start coming back because you're coming down from the high, and you say, "Hey, I thought you told me my problems would go away." Well, no, but you got to get the booster shot. Like that's going to cost you $10, right? So really, all of this is built on the strongest business model in the world. The strongest business models in history are built off of addiction or mandates, right? Crack was the best-selling product in every community across America because it was instantly addictive. Social media, Mark Zuckerberg has made hundreds of billions of dollars because they designed social media to be addictive. Video games are designed to be addictive. And now with this situation, it's even better than an addiction. It's an actual mandate where you must do this. Right. And I personally just think that with all those warped incentives involved, it's hard to trust any of this. I didn't trust it from the jump. So what do you see this going? I mean, do you think that it will ever get to the point where they're going to be willing to say, okay, y'all been fighting back. Brother Riz, I follow him. He's at the Intellectual Extremist with an X on Instagram. And it looks like people around the world are rallying and protesting. Do you think that they'll ever kind of back off of some of this? You have a labor shortage now, or do you think they're going to continue to hold the line on this point?
No, because the biggest drug in the world, you mentioned all those different drugs, but one that's the most powerful drug of all is the satanic American diet. Food is the greatest drug. The white sugar, the white salt, the white flour. If I put down a powder of crack cocaine, white flour, heroin, and sugar, unless you're a drug expert, you wouldn't be able to differentiate between all of those. And the reason why is because heroin and crack cocaine, white flour, white sugar, what do they all have in common? They come from plants. That's what a drug is. An illicit drug is when you take what God has created and you remove the nourishment. That's what creates that dopamine rush in the brain. And food is the most abused drug. So no, they started with the food industry. The food industry, via the slave theology, has gotten everybody. We're too overweight. We're too sick. We're too diseased. And so then we have this pandemic that comes and literally it kills people who have these conditions that people like me have reversed and help others reverse. So I'm out here saying, hey, guys, why are we going through all of this when we know that 95% of the deaths are attached to people that are obese? I lost 100 pounds. I've helped brothers and sisters lose 200 pounds. So that's out the window. Okay, they said that 80% of all the deaths down south from COVID was coming from diabetes. And matter of fact, Doc, November is Diabetes Awareness Month. The deadliest day of the year is in Diabetes Awareness Month. Just like Halloween is the last day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. See, and people wonder why I don't have no hair on my head because of these type of crazy scenarios. But diabetes can be reversed. Heart disease, high blood pressure, liver disease. These are specific conditions that if you take away those conditions, you take away 95% of all COVID deaths, which drops the number down to about 40,000. Then if you go to the reporting system that they have tracking injuries and death for the solution, what you'll find out is that the number, which is highly inaccurate, that was proven by Harvard Medical School, who got paid $1 million to analyze it. You'll find out that just like as always with Big Pharma, the solution is actually deadlier than the problem. Meaning that Harvard Medical School, the CDC came to them and said, Harvard, we want you all to help us. Here's $1 million. Our reporting system for the medical decision is inaccurate. Here's $1 million. Tell us how inaccurate it is and tell us how to fix it. Harvard Medical School, they analyzed it, came back to the CDC and said, this reporting system it's called VAERS, VAERS. It's only tracking 1 to 10% of all injuries and deaths. Look at the number of deaths so far that they have for the solution for this current pandemic. It's already at 20,000. So you have to times that number by 10 to 100 to get the accurate number. But then you take the COVID deaths and you slice that in 95% if you take away preventable and reversible comorbidities. So the solution is already far deadlier than the problem. And what I'm saying, Doc, is that what I'm saying is that the future is bleak, because all they have to do is just wait, because unless the food addiction changes and unless our health changes and we learn about real immunity, like what I'm going to be teaching January the 8th, and unless we return to a natural way of eating and living as we've been instructed, and living and eating the way we're supposed to as humans, as melanated humans, humans of color, of melanin. Unless we return to that, all that's going to happen, because there's a trillion viruses. There's more viruses in the atmosphere than there are stars in the sky. So there's trillions of them, and all it takes is another one that has a deadlier kill ratio. And no, it'll just be the same thing, because big pharma preys off of the fear of death, and nobody wants to die. So it doesn't matter if this is an industry that's deadlier to Black people than the police. Far deadlier, about 100 times deadlier. Nobody wants to die. So this one, they might be failing in this one, but all they're doing is already planning for the next one. And with that said, that's why there were some vials of smallpox that were recently found in a laboratory that it shouldn't have been found in. And of course, it was quickly investigated, and those vials were taken by the FBI, and that's smallpox. Smallpox gets released if a mutagenic version of smallpox get released, Doc. Unless your immune system is operating on the highest level possible, you can't withstand smallpox. And if that happens, then all they'll do is come out with a whole nother slew of vaccine, of medical decisions. And when people are terrified, they will do anything not to suffer and not to die. So until we return to eating medicines from the earth and understanding that there is only one way to live a long life in excellent health, until we embrace that, overcome our addiction, and get rid of all of this process, all this toxic way of eating and living, it's just a matter of time before another virus or bacteria outbreak will happen. And big pharma, they'll be waiting for their toxic solutions.
I'm speaking with Nathaniel Jordan, aka the Minister of Wellness. He is not, as you could tell, he's very insightful about issues that relate to our health. He's very passionate about this, and I hope that you'll participate in what he has going on. I'm going to give you his website. I'm also going to tell you about the event that he's joining me on January 8th. His website, theministerofwellness.com. They have all kinds of stuff. Him and his wife's name rhymes with my wife's name. His wife is Felicia. My wife is Alicia, and Felicia is also the name of my grandmother. So that's a pretty awesome name to hear. It was her birthday was last week. My grandmother we named the Panther in the Black Business School after my grandmother. So the Panther's name is Felicia. So that's how I keep her alive. And also, if you go to the Minister of Wellness, you can find out about all the great things he has going on. And in addition to that, the January 8th event, you can go to blackhealthempower.com. That URL is on the screen. I hope you'll share this with anybody that wants to get health information from a different source, a better source. And let me just, and I'll let you get the last word, brother. I'll share something real quick about Big Pharma, why I don't trust Big Pharma. It's a simple model. It's a model that says these companies make money by getting you to be fat and sick, feeding you, putting stuff in your food that's going to make you fat and sick. And then they make money on the back end, selling you things that will help you deal with the fact that you're fat and sick, right? So to me, it seems that when you're talking about things like wealth, maybe a good way to preserve your wealth is to not get fat and sick in the first place, so you don't have to spend all your money dealing with the fact that you're fat and sick. When they talk about health and wealth being connected, health is wealth. Anybody heard that term? Well, if you don't take care of your health and you're building all this wealth, you're going to drain your wealth trying to get your health back. and they won't give it back to you. They'll just dangle it over your head like a carrot and say, keep taking this medication, keep taking this shot. Let us just stick the tip in. And next thing you know, you'll still get old, fat, sick, and you'll die. And all your wealth will be drained, because one of the biggest ways that people go bankrupt, I don't know if y'all know this, but the number one, if not the number one or number two reason that people end up going bankrupt is because of health. Because of medical bills. So keep that in mind. And I'll read this quick stat, and then I'll let you get the last word, brother. I'll read this article on AmericanProgress.org, and they're talking about Big Pharma and how they manipulate drug prices. They said, despite the fact that Big Pharma receives major subsidies from the federal government, prescription drug prices are increasing at an alarming rate. In 2019, price increases from drug manufacturers affected more than 3,400 drugs. For example, Allergan, a major pharmaceutical manufacturer, raised prices on 51 drugs, just more than half its portfolio. Some medications saw a 9.5% price increase. The sharp increases in price occur as companies continue to report millions in revenue. The pharmaceutical companies' profit margins receive significant bumps when they launch new drugs, specifically specialty drugs used to treat life-threatening conditions. These drugs often cost more than most Americans can afford. Pharmaceutical companies have stated that the prices are high because the drugs are difficult to manufacture. In 2013, for example, industry giant Gilead Sciences launched Sovaldi, a hepatitis C drug, at $1,000 per pill, or $84,000 per treatment, which can last 12 to 24 weeks. After an 18-month investigation into the company's pricing, the Senate Finance Committee concluded that Gilead had pursued a marketing and pricing strategy designed to maximize revenue with little concern for access or affordability. Now, I could keep reading. This article is on AmericanProgress.org. And basically what's going on here is they're finding pharmaceutical companies are getting these patents on these drugs. They're getting government subsidies to create these drugs that they don't allow people to really have access to. And because they get these basically a monopoly on their drug, they jack up the price and they spend a lot of their money on the marketing of the drug, right? So it's not a matter of you paying more and getting higher quality treatments. You're paying more because you're paying for the cost of marketing and everything else. So big pharma is a big poison in American society. So the idea, so this is my point here, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. You can take it wherever you want to, brother. But my concern is that you have this situation where we have a pandemic, which is real. COVID was real. I hope we can all agree that it was real. It was out there, and people did die from things related to COVID. Yeah, it's unfortunate that you have this very real threat, but you're turning to a highly unethical, really an entity that really should be illegal to solve this problem. It's like if you have a danger issue in the community and you have to turn to the local drug dealer who kills and rapes for a living or whatever. You don't want that person to be your protector. Big Pharma has no business being the protector of human health. I can't trust what they're doing. So I encourage people to at least do the research, because I don't see how you can trust them. So I'll let you get the last word, brother. What say you?
Yeah, that I agree. And think about how I feel as a man of faith, as a man of religion, because that's what you just said is my whole lamentation to the Black church as a preacher, as a believer in the Holy Scriptures. Why in the world would preachers who's supposed to have faith in a God who we believe already spoke to our people thousands of years ago before the rise of European civilization, here we are, and we allowed our oppressors to teach us that nothing we eat affects our health. That's a lie. It does affect our health. So we let this theology from our oppressors lead us to become the most overweight, sickliest group of people in world history. And then instead of turning to the ancient African Hebrew text that gives us instructions on how to eat and live, we then turn a population of our people that our theology led to sickness, and we turn them over to the devil himself for healing. What type of sense does that make? So that's the Black preacher's version of what you just eloquently stated. That's my whole statement. What are you all doing? Big Pharma is mentioned in scripture. It's called pharmakia. It's called sorcery. That's illegal. Like, as you said, that's supposed to be illegal. It should be illegal according to the laws of the land, and it is illegal according to the Most High. You're not supposed to take the natural and manipulate it and synthesize it and then use it to treat a band-aid while it's killing people. That's sorcery, and that's what's sad to me, that this theology has led us to that. And so what I'm telling everybody is we have to get rid of the food addiction. We have to forsake the satanic American diet, the way of living. We have to escape the black theology. I did a popular video on I am back on YouTube, family, the Minister of Wellness Ministries. I'm back on YouTube. One of my most popular videos was I am a black preacher. And I'm saying that at this time, we need to boycott the black church because the theology is just too toxic and we can't afford it. So I, as a black preacher, advocate boycotting the black church. Also, what's important, here's another reason why we need to boycott them. I am one of the few pro-black Bible-based ministries offering exemption letters for our people. So anybody watching that wants an exemption letter, we have helped literally, Doc, I've been told in Washington, D.C. alone that about 2,000-3,000 of our people have used our letters. And I have people coming to me, Doc, because I'm trying to be nice on your platform. Their preachers are too scared to sign their exemption letters. And I have people all across the nation coming to me saying, "Minister, can you sign my letter because my pastor won't do it for me?" So go to the ministerofwellness.com. We have exemption letters. You stand on your rights for your choice. I thought the Democrats believe that is your choice when it comes to pregnancy, right? So why in the world can it be our choice when it comes to this? And I'm on LinkedIn, so forth. You don't want to miss the January 8th event. That's very important. Again, as you said, Doc, I completely agree. COVID is real. But we know who it was killing. We know who it was killing. And every last one of those conditions you should not have. And I'm going to teach you January the 8th in great detail so you don't have to live in fear. The Minister of Wellness, that's how you can find me.
All right. Let me give y'all the websites. The ministerofwellness.com. That's Minister Jordan's website, and I encourage you all to go take a look and support the brother. Also, if you'd like to join us for the January 8th event where you can engage with the minister, feel free to go to blackhealthempower.com. There's a one-time fee, and you get access to the recording, and you can also participate in the live event. It's going to be January 8th, and we're very honored to have this brother in coming by to visit the Black Business School, because health is wealth and wealth is health. And that's why we believe that that what we might call the holy trinity of Black happiness, fulfillment, and success will be health, wealth, and relationships. And so you've heard us talk about all three of those things on this channel. You can't just study one thing in a vacuum. It all connects. It all relates. It's all about having a healthy ecosystem, spiritually, mentally, physically, and everything else. So God bless everybody listening. It was great to see y'all. And thank you very much, brother. It's always great to talk to you, man. And I have so much respect. Give my best to your wife as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Well, y'all take care, everybody. Everybody give my brother digital round of applause. And blackhealthempower.com is where you can go to join the January 8th event. And one more time, his website is theministerofwellness.com. Check out both, share both, pass this video around for others that need to hear this, because, we're in a battle for truth. And, I'd put our people up against the Dr. Fauci's any day of the week. You got experts in your own community who love you, who want to do right by you. And I encourage you to turn inward, not outward, to find the key to your success as a person, as a person in our community. So God bless you. See you soon. Talk to you guys later. Peace.